Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal-mursaleen. Nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Iqra' bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Khalaqal insana min 'alaq. Iqra' wa rabbuka al-akram. الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Yesterday, in detail, we explained the reason of revelation, the first experience of revelation to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is how revelation and wahi came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, generally through the medium of the archangel Jibreel alayhi salam, who would bring the revelation to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These verses have a great and a beautiful meaning in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Iqra', read, Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, what the name of your Rabb that has created. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention that whenever we recite the Quran, whenever we want to recite something, then the formula is that we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, what the name of Allah, the All Merciful, the Most Beneficent. And this is the words we try and utilize in the name of your Rabb, Bismillah or Bismi Rabbik. Here Allah used the word Rabb because Rabb is a more general word. It is more known as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the sustainer, He's the nourisher, He's the one that brought this entire kainat, this entire system of the heavens and the earth into existence. He is the Rabb. He is the Rabb of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is our Rabb and the Rabb of the entire universe. So to read in the name of your Rabb, alladhi khalaq, that being that has created. So Allah did not mention what He has created. He just used the word, the fi'l, the verb khalaqa, that He created. Normally, when you say someone created, you say this person created something. And He left it general, that He created, meaning that He has created everything. He has created the entire universe. He has created every existing thing, whether we can see it or whether we cannot see it. And this is the eloquency of the Quran by saying khalaqa and not mentioning the maf'ul, not mentioning that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Now when Allah told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to recite, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was ummi. He was a person that was unlettered. He did not know how to read, nor did he know how to write. So this reciting in this first verse gives us and probably the indication that you had to just recite from memory. I read to you and you read it back. You don't need to know how to read, nor do you need to know how to write. If I just say, repeat after me the words that I'm reciting, Iqra, I'll say these words and then you repeat to me those words back. A person does not have to be a person that needs to know how to read and write to do this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then mentions the next verse, Khalaqal insan. So in the first verse He said khalaqa, and He did not mention what He created. He said khalaq. That means He has created everything. The next verse, verse number 2, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, Khalaqal insana min 'alaq. So He has created everything. Everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. But then Allah gives the specification that He has created insan. He has created this human being. And this is Allah wanted to show that this human being is the paragon of Allah's creation. He's the best of Allah's creation. He's the noblest of Allah's creation. He's the most honorable of Allah's creation. That's why Allah specially mentioned it. So insan and human being is part of all of the creation, but Allah then specially made mention of it, min 'alaq, that Allah has created this human being from a clot of blood. And we know that this was the first verse, second verse that was revealed in the first revelation, teaching mankind that Allah is in control. He knows where we came from, what was our origin, how we came into existence, what were the stages of our existence. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ في نطفة قرار مكين ثم خلقنا النطفة علقة فخلقنا العلقة مضغة فخلقنا المضغة عظاما فَكَسَوْنَا الْعِظَامَ لَحْمًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the system of the creation of the human beings in detail in the Quran, which confides 100% today. If people study the system of how a human being is created, all of these systems are perfect in accordance to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. Alaq is one of the stages, the clot of blood. In the beginning stage, what it is, a drop of fluid that is impure, and then it changes from one stage to another stage. It comes into the clot of blood and the lump of flesh and the skeleton and the bones and the blood that comes around it to make the perfection of this human being. It is one of the stages, the middle stage. Allah did not mention the beginning stage nor the end stage. He used the middle stage to make us realize that all the stages of the creation of this human being is part of it. Then Allah in the third verse states, "Iqra وَرَبُّكَ الْأَكْرَمُ." Again Allah uses the word read. So the Mufassirin state, now the command of reading is that you need to not only recite, the first one is you recite it yourself, but read means you read it to the people. You convey the message, because it is now a different iqra. The first iqra is you repeat behind Jibreel alayhi salam, or you repeat and you memorize these words. And now the second one, iqra wa rabbukal akram, you proclaim these words, convey the message, communicate it to the people, teach and preach the verses that are being revealed to you. Wa rabbuka al akram, and your Rabb is the most gracious, He's the most honored. That is to explain to us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most gracious, signifies that He did not create this world or man just for an ulterior motive or just for something selfish for Himself, but He has done it out of His infinite grace and His generosity to mankind, that Allah has created this human being. The fourth verse Allah says, الَّذِي عَلَّمَ بِالْقَلَمِ, He has taught you through the medium of the pen. And this distinguishes this human being, the ashraful makhluqat, the best of the creation, from all the other creations, the animal kingdom, that Allah has not given them the ability to do things with the pen. So this pen is a very powerful tool which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed this human being to protect the knowledge, to pass on the knowledge, to preserve the knowledge, and to learn from generation to generation through the medium of the pen. This crowns this human being with a great position of honor, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with the ability to utilize the pen. And the pen can be in the reference of the pen, which is in three different stages. The Mufassirin state, one is the pen of Allah. The one is the pen of Allah, which Allah has written. And Allah has made mention in many ahadith and ahadith Qudsi, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first thing He had created was the pen. Then Allah told the pen to write out all the taqdeer and all the events that are going to take place until the day of Qiyamah. So this is the pen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say it is the taqdeer. We'll hear also the hadith says, Rufi'atil aqlam, the pens have been lifted, the ink is dry. This is the pen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then there's a second pen, which is the pen of the angels. The pen of the angels writes out on the right hand side and the left hand side the actions of this human being, whatever they do. And they swap their shifts after Asr Salat and after Fajr Salah. The angels go up and they change their duties. And they are writing everything which will be the a'mal, the book of deeds that will be presented in front of Allah on the day of Qiyamah for every single individual. And then we have the third pen, which is the pen of this human being, which this pen can be a means of writing and protecting and learning, which is the means of this pen. The ulama have also stated that from the time of Adam alayhi salam, he was the first human being that knew how to write. Some Mufassirin say, if it was not very clear in the time of Adam alayhi salam, definitely we have very clear, authentic narrations which state from the time of Idris alayhi salam, people knew how to write. But majority of the scholars mention, because Allah created Adam alayhi salam, he was a person at that time, there was need for information and things of that sort. He utilized the medium of writing to protect whatever was there at that time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the importance of the pen that Allah has given us and taught you through the medium of the pen. Inshallah, we'll mention the next verses going forward tomorrow, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanallah bihamdi. Subhanakallah bihamdi.